Hello again, everyone. It is Gordon Majak here, back with another episode of Timeless Pop, Rock, and Soul on a dark and gloomy Friday afternoon here in the Northwest. But the mood in here is anything but dark and gloomy. And that is because today my muses have inspired me to go back to the city of Chicago for the next two songs in a row. We are going back to the Windy City for a couple of artists whose best work is just defining moments of greatness in the world of pop and R&B and soul. One from the 70s, and then we'll do one from the 80s. What do you think about that, huh? So many incredible artists have come out of Chicago over the years. The list is just staggering. And we are going to hit two legends in these next couple episodes. So check it out. Now, I have to tell you, when I went to, I was going to look up the album artwork or some sort of a visual for this first song here. And it was so funny how I had forgotten about this. And when the images popped up that were associated with this artist and this song, and I saw this label, I had a moment. Let me tell you, folks, I had completely forgotten. And seeing this label and realizing that this was the 45 that I bought back there as a youngster. I think I was, 13 when this song came out in April of 1972. I was just a young pup, about 13 going on 14 that year in 1972. And the Chi-Lites come out with this song, Oh Girl. And when I saw the visual of this 45 single label, it just took me back in a second. And that visual just, man, that dialed my memory in a split second. And wow, what a profound visual to see that. I wore this record out. So let's talk about the Chi-Lites. Now, between 1969 and 1972, when this classic Oh Girl came out, the Chi-Lites had done pretty well for themselves on the R&B chart side of things. They had quite a string going there from 1969, 1970, and even into 1971. They were doing quite well on the R&B chart side of things, but they had yet to cross over with any success onto the pop chart. Well, that all changed in the fall of 1971 when Eugene Record, the leader and the lead singer of the Chi-Lites and the Chi-Lites, released their monster epic, one of their two career-defining songs, and that was the classic ballad, Have You Seen Her? From the fall of 1971, a huge hit, another number one on the R&B chart for them, but more importantly, that song, Have You Seen Her, also crossed all the way over on the pop chart, got up to number 3 on the pop chart. So just a huge career-defining moment there for the Chi-Lites. And what do you know? Barely 6 months later, they came back and did it again with a song here, Oh Girl. And I'm not even joking. I was thinking about, 70s soul is just, it's so deep and there's so much there and it's so diverse and there's just so much musical ground to cover that is just absolute genius and greatness and legendary epic shit, right? And you just think about some of the great vocalists, male vocalists on the R&B and soul side there in the early 70s. And you think about all the great singers that came out of Motown like Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder and Smokey Robinson and the Temptations and all that stuff, all the Philly soul, Al Green, Donny Hathaway. It's like a literal who's who of just genius, epic, legendary performers and artists, right? And in the mix of all of that, Eugene Record and the Chi-Lites step into the picture there with Have You Seen Her? And then, as I said, 6 months later with this song, Oh Girl. This one goes all the way up to #1 on the pop side, another #1 on the R&B side, a huge career-defining crossover hit coming right on the heels of Have You Seen Her? And that two-song combination just basically makes history for the Shy-Lites. From that point on, you come out swinging with a couple big shots like that, back to back there in the early '70s, in the midst of all that other incredible, great historic music. And Eugene Record and the Shy-Lites just planted their flag right in the middle of all of that. And I'll tell you what, it was I was queuing this song up. I kind of got a little emotional between the combination of seeing that label that I had long forgotten about, that 45 label that I used to have, that 45, and wore that thing out back in the day. The combination of seeing the visual of that label and then hearing just a few minutes of the song here, just as I was queuing it up, man, I was kind of getting moved a little bit, because this was a song, Oh Girl, even with, as I said, the immediately prior success that had just happened with Have You Seen Her just several months earlier. Even with that, this song, Oh Girl, was a song that even as a 14-year-old there in 1972, this was one that you hear it on the radio one time, and you're never going to forget this song. I mean, and you can say that about, as I said, so many of those great classic artists, from that time frame of the late 60s and early 70s. But this one is right there in the middle of it. Just an instant classic. And over the years, as I was just queuing it up here and thinking about over the years, how this song has aged so well. And of course it did. Of course it would. I mean, it's just one of the, I think, just one of the most memorable musical moments that came out of it. Just an incredible, ridiculous decade of soul music there in the '70s. But you got to give it up to Eugene Record and the Shy-Lites. And when you hear this vocal performance, and keep in mind all those names I just mentioned, and it's a mile long. There were so many legendary R&B and soul vocalists on the scene back in the day, just a million of them, deservedly legends. And I'll tell you, listening to Eugene Record on this, I got no problem saying this is one of the greats right here. From the spring of 1972, you check out this vocal performance. This is I'm just getting freaked out here thinking about it, and the anticipation and talking about it. I'm getting emotional. Okay, let's play the song. The great Eugene Record, written by Eugene Record, produced by Eugene Record, lead vocals by Eugene Record, guitar and bass by Eugene Record on this record, and of course the remaining members of the Shy-Lites on those background vocals. And I'm telling you, folks, this is the creme de la creme of that era and our lifetimes when it comes to soul singing. This is some of the sweetest and smoothest stuff you will ever hear. Every single second of it. Savor every second of this vocal. the nice long album version fade out, which gives you about an extra 30 seconds or so. Nice, right? OMG, folks. I mean, that is a gazillion-dollar vocal performance right there. No freaking joke by the great. Put some love on that man's name. The great Eugene Record. Oh, girl. And if you think of that bookended with Have You Seen Her? And I'm not even mentioning all of the other, as I said, dozens of hits they had on the R&B side, but just taking those two enormous pop crossover singles that are virtually standards and have been basically since they were released in the early 70s. That is some lasting impact, and my God, make some room in the Hall of Fame corridor there for that vocal performance by the great Eugene Record with the Shy-Lites behind him. Now, one interesting tidbit that I discovered in looking into the history of the song that I did not know is that the arrangement for this recording here was done by a gentleman by the name of Tom Washington, another city of Chicago veteran there on the music scene, otherwise known in the music biz as Tom Tom 84. And Tom Tom 84 was a conspicuous presence on quite a few Earth, Wind, and Fire albums there during Earth, Wind, and Fire's heyday. And Tom Washington, a.k.a. Tom Tom 84, contributed quite a boatload of creative assistance for Maurice White and the guys in Earth, Wind, and Fire there during their really peak run. So let's give it up there. Talk about the level of talent we are dealing here with. We've got Eugene Record, just one of the Hall of Fame vocal performances of all time, not just in soul, but in any genre of music. And then you got the whole thing put together and arranged by the great Tom Washington. Tom Tom 84. Yeah, go check out some of that the Earth, Wind, and Fire album credits, and you'll see his name in there over and over again. Man, talk about representing the city of Chicago. Oh, girl. And these guys, man, the Shy-Lites, what a sound. And from the time, literally, that I was, 13, 14 years old, and seeing that, what a interesting way how our memories work. You know, you see a visual, and you can think about something or talk about something, but then you'll see a visual like this, and it just like it reconnects everything in your brain, and you go, oh, holy shit, I remember that now. That's what a moment I had this morning seeing this label, Eugene Record and the Shy-Lites. Whew, man, what a song. I have loved that one from the first time I ever heard that on the radio. Couldn't wait to get my hands on that 45, and I probably wore out a couple copies of that 45 over the years because I was even playing that song many years later in the 80s there when I was a DJ, and I started playing it at AEI all the time, and yeah, keep that stuff alive. Coming back in the next video with yet another example of some of the musical genius, the musical giants that came out of the city of Chicago. This one from the 1980s. See you in that one. Eugene Record just talking to his woman and letting her know how it really is. Oh, girl. Ooh, we feel that one all the way inside. That's for sure.